friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video we are going to be completing the last couple of spreads in this traveler's notebook that I have been working on over the course of the last couple of weeks. So this is an album that I will be giving as a wedding gift to my sister-in-law and her husband. They got married last year, and as a belated wedding present, because it took me some time to be able to get around to this, I have put together two albums for them, one that documents their bachelor's/bachelorette party and one that documents all of their bridal showers. So we already have 2/3 of this album complete. Today we are going to work on the last third of this album and getting everything stitched together, and then next week we'll do a flip through of both albums back to back. So let's go ahead and get started working on it for today. Okay, so let's jump into these last couple of spreads here. So this first one, I am pulling out a couple of pictures that I had pre-printed off. I can't remember the exact dimensions of those square photos. I want to say they're like 3.5 by 3.5 or 3.75 by 3.75, something in there. And then I just put the white border around them, and I'm using a paper underneath that had like a phrase on it. I'm just covering that up because I just like the black paper itself. For the opposite side, the left side, I have a picture that I printed at 4 inches by 5 inches. And the floral element there that you see that I fussy cut out earlier, that was the cover of another card that my sister-in-law had received. So one of the things I love to do when putting these types of albums together is to stash a bunch of the ephemera pieces from the event itself. So things like cards, wrapping paper, ribbons, what else might I do? Like if we had any games that we played, I just like to take those like paper bits that I know I can probably put into an album and save them for things like this. So that was the front of a card that she had received from my mother-in-law, so from her mother. And it's so pretty. It's like, I don't know, the background is like a cardstock background, but then all of the black that you see on it is actually velvet. So it's got this like texture to it that's super awesome. So I fussy cut that out of the card, and then I'm going to layer it on top of the picture with a couple of other embellishments and things just to give the bottom portion a little bit more bulk. So I have the label there. That's just something from my stash that I pulled out in order to add some like a shelf to put that heart on. And then the heart right there was from the family story kit from Ali Edwards. I printed it on fabric paper and then adhered that down onto the page here. I think it says maybe our story, which seemed really good, or you know, it just went along with this page in and of itself. So this page here is documenting the cake or the desserts from the bridal shower get together. So again, we're going with that cat theme. So we've got I think it says, let's see what it says. I want to say, yep, Meow and Forever is the cake title on there. So cute. My mother-in-law had it made special for this occasion, and it turned out really awesome. And then that second picture down at the bottom is one of our grandpa. We call him Papa. And he is always the one who's running around taking pictures of everyone. Like, he gets so much joy out of taking pictures at occasions like these. So I actually took a picture of him taking a picture of them. And I thought that would be really sweet to include, just, showing his excitement over everything that was happening. And, he's the sweetest man ever. So I was really glad to be able to include a picture of him too. The rest of this, I'm just going to add a couple of puffy stickers. I was feeling like the right side of this spread was just a little bit too flat, especially with all the texture on the left side. So I just added a couple of puffy heart stickers. It wasn't much. It still probably could have used something a little bit more, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. So I just put a couple of white and black ones around both sides, and then I adhered that into the book. For adhering those pages, all I do is use my double-sided tape from scrapbook.com. I prefer the 1/4 inch for adding pages into my book itself, although sometimes I use 1/8 of an inch because I like to keep both of those on hand at all times pretty much. So for this one, I'm using another paper from Freckled Fawn that had an icon. It had a sun up at the top, and I printed out a photo that was just the right size to cover that up, mostly because I liked the background. It's just a grid, and I thought it looked nice with all of the colors of these pictures and keeping everything not so busy. So in addition to the pictures there, I have, the square one. I have one that I made a little bit wider just to give this some interest by having those pictures be slightly different sizes. And then I'm using another one of the label. It's just a label die cut that I've had in my stash for a long time. I want to say that one's Ellie's Studio, but it's pretty old. And I have some tiny phrase stickers from one of the newer Allie Edwards kits that came in that peachy color, which I thought was great when paired with the Celebrate tag. The Celebrate tag is a piece of, what do I want to call you? Cards. It's not cardstock, chipboard. It's a chipboard sticker from the Celebrate Allie Edwards kit, and went perfectly with this spread, like so perfect. And then I also wanted to add on a couple of those acetate stars. I don't remember what they say, but they're definitely like celebratory words. So I'm just going to add those up on the upper left hand corner, and then that way it kind of balances it, like there's something up in the upper left hand, and then on the picture of Izzy, so my daughter, with the bride-to-be glasses, I should say, the glasses, there's something on the bottom of that one, so it just kind of draws your eye diagonally through the spread itself. So now that those are on there, I can see that the stars say cheers and joy. So, just celebratory type things. So these pictures here were just silly ones that we took with each other, where we were using the different props, so like sunglasses and mustaches and all that fun stuff, and we just got together as a group and took some pictures, and the kids had a blast with them too. So that is all that was. Now we're going to move on to the second to last spread. So this is the last one that goes across both sides, and I had a couple of pictures of my sister-in-law with our family. So I've got a large one there of her and her dad, and a large one there of her and her mom. I wanted to include both of them as large photos, but I didn't have enough pages to have them each have their own spread. So I decided to do one of my favorite things, and that is create a flip out. So I've got two of the same paper from Freckled Fawn. It's just kind of like a reddish, pinkish grid. I thought that was a really nice kind of neutral background. Then the journaling card that you see there, I don't know if you can tell, but it matches the piece that I had fussy cut out earlier. So that piece was actually from inside the card, so I just cut it out and then used that as my journaling card, typed up the journaling right on it, and then added that into the spread. Then I've got a picture of my sister-in-law and all the siblings, so it's my husband, his twin brother, our sister Danielle, and their younger sister Rachel, and then one of their sisters isn't in the picture, but the rest of them are. And then there's the large one of my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law with another one of those celebratory stars. For those, since they are acetate, I used my Xyron machine in order to add the adhesive to the back of them. That lets them go onto the page without you really seeing the adhesive behind it. For the picture of my sister-in-law and my father-in-law, I added the Joy chipboard sticker there from the Celebrate kit as well. And then the inside of the flip is going to be this page, which is just a grid page with a bunch of different photos with different people. We took a lot of pictures out on the back deck of the house. My mother-in-law used to live on a lake here in Michigan, and she has since moved from that house. But it was their childhood home, and the back deck overlooked the lake, and the sunset would go down on that side of the house. So it was just like the evenings there were always just gorgeous, so beautiful. So at the end of the evening, or at the end of the party, we all went out on the back deck and took pictures of, the family in different groups as the sun was setting. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and actually assemble this flip together. So what I have done here is grabbed a piece of regular copy paper, just the thin copy paper. I cut it down to 2 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall, and then just folded it in half. I will add adhesive to one side of the flap and then put on the picture of my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law. So that is going to be the back side of the flip. Then I'm going to take the picture of my father-in-law and sister-in-law and the inside portion, and that's going to be sandwiched in around the second portion of the flap. When I am adhering these together though, my one tip I have is to take your second page, lay it on top of the one it's going to go on top of, and then pull your flap down to adhere it on there. That way you can get it to where they close and it covers up the whole bottom of the page. Now the Freckled Fawn papers are slightly shorter, or they're only 4 inches wide instead of 4.25. So I do have to trim off a little bit of the top photo, and then when I fold it back down, I'm also going to trim off a little bit of the bottom photo, so that way, you know, everything lines up the way I want it to. It's actually kind of nice that their papers are slightly smaller because I do offset my pages in my book just a tiny bit so that they're not interfering with the spine, but it does often make me have to trim off just a tiny little bit on the edges. So this prevents me from having to do that. So there you go, it's all adhered in, and now we're going to work on the last page. So this is just a picture of my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. So they are married now. They got married last October, and the sentiment that you see there that says "we got married" was from a card that we received. So they actually got married in the state that they live in, and they just like went and filled out their paperwork, and then they came home a couple months later and did the ceremony, did like a small ceremony and a small party here in Michigan. So when they got married officially, they sent out this card as they're like, "we got married, let's have a party in October," sort of a deal. So I kept the card and fussy cut out the "we got married," adhered it onto that picture, and then that's going to be the conclusion to this album. So I'm just going to clear off my desk and go ahead and get that adhered in. And now that everything is ready to go, we just need to get this book stitched together. So I am going to go in my stash and pull out some white embroidery floss, which you can see there. And then I'm also going to use my Sizzix Stampers Secret Weapon. And I have a template that I made. So the template, I believe, is like 3 inches wide or something like that by 8.25, and I folded it in half and I punched holes every ½ inch down the spine. So then when I go to put these books together, I just have to lay the template on top of the spine of the page and punch those holes down through the template. The Sizzix Secret Weapon I can't say that, has this poking tool. I think they call it a paper piercer, and it comes with it, so it's perfect for doing things like this. I did skip over a bunch of it, so now there are holes in all of the pages. There's my embroidery floss all ready to go. I will count all of the holes and then count down to the middle and go ahead and stitch from the inside of the book to the outside as I'm starting. Once I get that done, I will go all the way up to the top of this album, just, what do I want to call that? Straight stitching, basically. And once I get to the top, then I will take it back down all the way to the bottom of the album, and then I will go from the bottom of the album back to the middle. So when we get back to the middle, both strings are going to come up through the inside, and that's going to let me tie it off in the middle so that it all stays closed, but that this, the tie off string or the knot isn't on the back. I want that to be in the middle, and then that will pretty much finish this guy up. If you are doing this and you are also punching your holes every ½ an inch, just be aware that you actually don't sew back through the middle hole that the first string went through. It's going to end up in the middle, but they are like a ½ an inch apart. So that will finish this. All right, friends, that completes this album. So both of these albums are now done and ready to be sent. Just as a recap, we can go through the spreads that we worked on today. We've got this one about the cutting of the cake. We've got some silly prop photos, some family photos out by the water in the sunset, and then a final picture of the happy couple. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the process videos for this album and the last one. If you guys enjoyed this video today, make sure to give this video a thumbs up down below and hit that subscribe button while you're at it, if you haven't already, so you can see all of my future crafty videos. I will be back next week to do a final flip through of both albums for you guys. And in the meantime, I do have some other videos that will be coming your way, so keep an eye out for those as well. Until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.